Beautiful day, and I want to say, God, I want to thank you for everything um, that you've done for me, all the protection that you have bestowed on me, and the chat and the channel, all of the lessons that we have learned, uh, all the strength that we have accumulated. I'd have to say that I'm very proud of um, where God has left His mark on this channel during you know what could be the beginning of the end, in the world, right? We're gonna face we're gonna face some crazy things uh, in the world. I mean, this is it, you know. And we know that God is for real now, right? Like as truthers, I mean, there's very little doubt, right? Even if you were coming from a complete atheist perspective, right? If you were reasonable and sat down with somebody, you could leave a table within 2 hours and be pretty sure that God is real, you know. And you know, uh, hey Cindy, hey Joel, hey AJ Blunt. AJ Blunt was first, and like more and more every day, does it seem like the end is near. I mean, I I I would say that like a lot of times you think about your friends, right? Um, as people that care about your best interests, right? Um, want to see you do well. Um, they want safety and peace for your family, right? And hello, how you doing, Sheila? And so what I'll say is that you're in the last times, right? When you got a friend that's you know admittedly full of demons, teaching flat Earth and freaking out, right? You got a friend that, in all sincerity, right, um, wants to help me be a Wiccan, right? Like, this is a person that I know cares about me, and this is what he wants from me, right? There's a person that is my friend that, I have three different friends telling me three different things about three different timelines, right? Now, these are friends, right, that care about me, that want me to know the truth, what they believe the truth is, right? And look at the mess that is there and all the traps I could step in, right? Just in the group of friends that we're talking about, right? Now, imagine uh, what my enemies would look like at this point, right? Um, yeah, we're at a point, right? Of course, yeah, the Holy Spirit does keep me from stepping in puddles, right? But we're gonna have to be prepared for people that really truly believe with just as much passion as we do, right, or more, right? Sad to say, right? That what they believe is true, and if they care about us like we care about them, right? I mean, the only reason I've ever pushed anybody, right, is because I care about them and I want them to go to heaven and want them to live their life. I want to spend eternity with them, right? So sometimes we push a little bit, or in our early Christian days, right? We live and learn, and we learn not to do that, but um, and then we start planting seeds. But there are times when we've pushed, when we just wanted what's best for them, you know. And you're right, no one has it right, but here's the thing, right? Like, if someone is trying to turn you into like you know, a Luciferian, right? And this person is somebody that cares about you, you know, then you know, we got to start looking at what do our enemies want for us, right? Like we got to be careful in the sense that they're. I mean, we have to be prepared for the fact that there's going to be very, very good people that we care about so much, right? That are just beautiful, intelligent people that are just going to be on the other side of it, and they're against us, right? And so is well, this it's I think it's simple. People can choose Jesus and go to heaven. I think it's fair for everybody, right? I mean, if I hear the gospel a million times and someone else hears it one time, their time will probably be so profound that it'll be enough, you know. I know that it's fair because God's the one that's doing it, right? Like I believe that my God is fair and just, right? And you know, whatever He wants is what's going to happen, right? And so I don't understand my little pea brain head, right? Now, uh, here's the thing, right? Is that I think it's fair, completely easy and simple, but I think there's people that even if they knew the exact truth, right, would choose not to do it, you know. And it baffles me why anybody would even want to, even a math person that's very good at math would not roll the dice with those odds, you know. And hey, how you doing, Paula? Hi, hey, Ray of Sunshine. Did I see Shepard's voice up in here somewhere? No, I don't think so. Yeah, I did. Yay. Okay. And I saw Hannah, of course. And so yeah, it's like I think it's simple and easy for people to make the choice, right? But I also think that there's like so many people that just aren't gonna, right? And and this is where the only conflict, right, I have with God, right, which isn't really a conflict, right, because I want what God wants to happen, right. I uh, I don't know how you say it, right, but like I will acquiesce to His desire, right, if it's different than mine, right. So, but I'll say this: the only conflict that I would possibly have with God is that understand the rules right, and maybe they're uncomfortable, like some of them, and you know, I want every single person to make it, and the Bible says that that's not going to happen, right? And so it's my only conflict, right? Is like we want even our, you know, if you're I don't want to say it. Well, I'm a I'm a very, very grateful Christian, right? I'm not saying that all grateful Christians have to feel this way that I'm going to say, but as you know, I'm a grateful Christian in the fact that I know God has done for me and forgiven me for, right? Now, you know, I'm not the worst person by far in the world, but, you know, compared to God, I'm a wretch. I'm not even, I am undeserving of even being in His presence, right? And so I think about what God has done for me and how much forgiven me for, right? Which is why I say I start in the mirror before I judge people, right? Is I know what God's done for me, right? And so I want that for everybody else too. I want every single creature, plant, animal, everything to make it, right? But that's not the way it is. That's not what, you know, that's not God's plan is to save every plant and animal and creature, right? Like, except to sacrifice for salvation, right? And so, yeah, I think God wants everybody to make it, you know. Um, you know, but I think naturally, just the way my heart is, you know, like I got to be careful what I say, but I mean, I wanted all created beings to eventually, you know, submit to God, give God the glory, and get better, right? But it's just a very narrow path. It's a very narrow path, right? And it's a tough thing because we're stuck at a dilemma where I think everybody, like, we want God to get rid of the evil without getting rid of us, and so that the only way to do that was to take our punishment for us. But I think that when we're like um, trying to convince our neighbor of like, hey, look, God, God is real. I think that they may have a different um, uh, a different picture of God in their head based on how God is depicted in TV mainstream, right? And really deep down inside, right? My neighbor and me both want the same thing, right? We both want to be happy, right? And and uh, um, uh, having to convince them that no, when Jesus came, he was against those religious types too, those real um, you know real strict religious types too, right? He came here not for them, but regular people, fishermen, tax collectors. These Pharisees, right? It's not that they lacked dedication in studying the scriptures, right? It's that they took it beyond what the spirit of the rule in the law was supposed to be, right? Rules are here for our benefit, not here for beat over the head with them, right? And every rule, right? That even the ones that feel uncomfortable, that are, that even seem to exclude people, right? You're like, well, when you really look at like all the variables and all of the new, it's that this is a short period of time, right? And as a human being, I'm naturally going to, uh, crave and desire things that are outside of what God wants. It's pretty crazy. I have no idea what's beeping, but something's beeping here. But I don't know where I was. I don't know where I was until when I heard that beeping. But I think that oh yeah, yeah, he wasn't here for the priest, right? It's like he was here to like free us from them, really, right? Because they were like, a lot of these churches, right? Especially like the like Catholicism, right? That's even hard for me to even be against anybody, but it's the truth, right? You look at Catholicism and it's like even close, right? And so, yeah, Jesus is God, and you know, and so when he came back, he was like the first, you know, well, I wouldn't say the first, but he was a truther, like us, right? Noah was a truther too, I'm sure, right? And everyone didn't want to listen, right? Uh, and I think everybody that tells the truth runs into this same problem, right? If you love somebody enough to tell them the truth, right? Sometimes they feel like, hey, why are you aiming that at me? Tell me something I want to hear because you like me. But when you tell somebody the truth that where the truth excludes them or challenges them, right? Um, and you love somebody, and of course, I'm going to get buffering, especially when you start saying the truth, right? Especially when you say the truth, Hannah, you're going to get a lot of buffering. And I noticed that when I was listening to Vincent Rhodes. You know, he's an old pastor, I guess. I don't know too much about him, but I know that he's a biblical cosmologist. We'll put it that way, right? And every time he got close to like saying like truthful stuff, he would get the circle, you know, and uh, and he mentioned that, you know, and it's every time you get close to telling the truth, that happens. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I think churches were like a controlled opposition group, you know, like a way to trap you into, you know, if you want to make it to heaven, you got to come through us, like that kind of thing. Right now, um, now imagine if Jesus came back in today's world, right? What type of people would be greeting him, right? And questioning him and, you know, wanting their authority heard and respected, right? And, you know, if he came to us, right? Um, it, imagine that scenario, right? He came to us instead of them. Like, imagine how they would feel about that, you know? And so I mean, I can pick like when I say I believe that Jesus died for my sins and you know was raised from the dead, right? I'm saying I believe that a human being, right, a person, right, a fully man, fully God, right, died and came back to life, right? So I could picture him returning, you know, in this time frame of my life, right? You know, with a pair of jeans on and regular clothes, right? You know, coming back just nondescript, right? Just the life saving truth, you know? And, all right, guys, just try to, you know, try to get along. No biggie. We can all start fresh right at this moment. And so, you know, I can picture him coming back in this time frame and, and really blessing us and, think about how much God has forgiven us, you know, and just how much, you know, that this world, like, you know, I don't have anything. I don't have anything. I know I saw it. I'm trying to just think of a way to, you know, apply it to, you know, like there's many times in my life where I've made mistakes, right? Silly mistakes, careless mistakes, sometimes even dangerous mistakes, right? And I try to put myself in that position, even when it's hard. I mean, of course, when I was going through what I was going through this week, right? When it was me, it's hard when people say, "Hey, Stephen, just ignore it," blah blah blah. Because when you, it's hard, right? Uh, when you're the target, it's hard, and it's really not a. Things are not really about me versus that other person. Things are about the person watching me deal with my thing against the other person, right? So while my feelings could be hurt right away, right? I got a person that's watching me in that scenario, right? The new person that says, "Hey, I want to handle it like that too. I want to not have fear. I want to have not have um, you know, a reaction to that, you know." And you're right. You're right. There's a lot of things that we should do, and you're right. You know, and and I agree. I agree. And but we all got to remember that you know, we've all had difficult walks. You know, in life. I mean, I know that we're American and we have fresh water, running toilets, right? We have all the amenities that we could possibly have and need, right? But each one of us has walked a walk where maybe nobody listened to us, or maybe people mistreated us, or you know, maybe we weren't heard, you know, and we react in certain ways, out of our hurt or out of our experience or out of our frustration or out of even a character defect, right? And so, while I don't disagree, I also think about like, um, the other layers to it, like, so while I was dealing with my thing, you know, I knew I didn't deserve what was happening, right? But I also knew that people were watching me deal with that, and I wanted people to see that my spirit had peace beyond all understanding, because every time I act the way, try to act the way Jesus would act, right? Have the spirit of what God would do, right? The Holy Spirit, right? My peace would increase, and and I'm very careful about who I tell things to, because I know people already know what I'm saying. I mean, I would say 80%, 90% of you guys in here know the Bible better than me by far. And maybe I have a little gift of explaining things, but really I'm not that smart in the Bible. I don't really know anything. I defer to you guys, and so I definitely don't say that anybody's incorrect, especially when something hurts their feelings, That's for sure. But like, I mean, inside of me, right? Like, I've always had these feelings of like, these feelings of maybe fear, or maybe not enough self-worth or self-esteem, right? To like deal with I'm off that subject, on a different subject, so I don't want anybody to think that I'm so it's just totally separate thing. And so that if somebody was like bullying me online, as far as like, say like, some of these channels that come with Bible verses to try to challenge you, or however they try to come and attack, right? Because channels like this get attacked all the time, especially when you get close to the truth, right? And so some people don't have there are some people that are legitimately afraid of another person online, right? Or they're you know scared to be seen other places, watching other channels, scared that another person will be upset if you're friends with another person, right? Like, sometimes we feel like we exist online, right? And this and in this type of no, in no other time before, right, that we know of, right? I mean, who knows? There's probably technology all throughout life and we were lied about, but like, let's say that all the history is true, right? This is the first time that man's ever been stimulated like this with screens, right? And there are people that believe that they exist on the screen, right? Like that little icon is you, you know, and but that icon is not you, and you don't have to be afraid if somebody is trying to control you, or trying to control where you go, or who you're friends with, or what you say in your channel, or they come to your channel and want to be in control, right? We don't exist online, and we don't have a spirit of fear, and we are we love ourselves enough to know that we're unaffected by that, right? And so if we can show, because like if we can show that next generation that, right? Because like there is a generation raised completely when YouTube was like this, right? Where they really do believe that their identity is online, you know? And so if we can show them that, um, what somebody can do to you online, right? Especially if you've dealt with all the skeletons in your closet, right? And, and you don't mind whatever is going to come up to come up. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's a low blow for that because everybody has stuff in their life that they're probably not proud of, right? And, whatever. But, like, if you've dealt with all that stuff, right? Um, then there's really nothing anybody can do to you, you know? And so I just want, everybody to know that, like, our online personas and our online, a lot of us, have like maybe have small channels and have a little bit of lore, and especially with like, the FE subject being so kind of sparked up in a new way 5 6 years ago. Some of us are kind of well known, in that category, that little niche group, right? Maybe even have a little tiny bit of fame to some people, right? And that's stretching it, right? But like even that feels good, right? When people um, support your work, right? And text you and say that they care about you, or that they're thinking about you, right? And or that you're doing a good job, or they love you enough to tell you, hey, you can improve here and here, right? And um, all of you are important to me, and it does. And to round it back to where we were at, it makes me sad when two people I care about, have words. But I also know that both of you are very, very strong ladies that have very, very strong spirits. I mean, breathtaking spirits, right? That could easily shake that off and show up tomorrow, because I know that I mean, especially there's a lot of strong women in this group, right? That I've had to face other challenges, right? And you guys have worked really hard to get to where you're at, and I'm proud of you, and that was kind of like my goal, that I learned the most from you guys, right? Especially because I would only go to people that were flat earth people teaching the Bible, really, and then I've expanded that a little bit. But like I learned to, you got to dust off and show up the next day and move forward, right? And everybody's allowed to get frustrated. I mean, it sucks and it's wrong, but I think we can be a family about that, because like I know growing up with my brother, right? I mean, of course, I had definitely a lot of sympathy for him because he had cancer most of our childhood. He got cancer when he was 8 years old, and he had it until I think he was 15. He had his last surgery and was in remission. Um, and at 15 he was real skinny. He looked like he was about 11 years old. But he's a big boy, big as my kids now. And I'm proud of him. But even we have like a contentious relationship sometimes. Um, but if anybody from outside of our family came in to attack either one of us, right? We would be on each other's side. Yeah, I know. I'll definitely talk about it. I'll definitely mention it for sure. And yeah, I understand that. And so, hey AJ, how you doing? I was like kind of worried about you yesterday, AJ. I couldn't get a hold of you. I'm like, oh, where's AJ? I haven't seen him. And oh, that's funny, Level Up, that you mentioned that, right? Because I was I was in like this, like, it's kind of like a camp, I guess, to like a religious camp to handle like a mental illness without medication, to try to handle it a different way. And so I was there, and I remember because I used to talk a lot, and I still kind of do, but like the we didn't call them pastors; they were overseers, is what we called them. And so my overseer used to make me read the Book of James all the time, just because it's a good book to read for if whenever I got to watch my mouth, And so I learned a lot through that. That's when I found out the longest. What is it? The longest chapter in the Bible, or Psalm 119. I don't know if that's a chapter or a verse, right? But it sure is long because I had to copy it down on a piece of paper, write it, And I mean, they call it a punishment, but like I learned so much through the hardships there that I wouldn't call them punishments, But I enjoyed those types of experiences, even though there were during some hard times in my life dealing with some difficult emotions, You know what I mean? And so that's right. Religion's only mentioned, I think, that one time where it says religion is for widows and for orphans. Oh, you have a blessed day, Tanya. And you know what? Are you going to work? Have a good day. And, if you have time, give me a call. If you don't, that's cool too. But, yeah, I mean, a lot of people are ready to go fishing, AJ. It's time to get a little bit of, it's time to get a little bit of, recreation time in, because I think it's going to get, I think it's going to get bad out there, and I think we're going to have to deal with some things, and I mean, it's getting pretty serious about, I don't watch any TV, so I really don't know a whole lot of what's going on, but when I went to the hospital the other day, right, and my nurse knew I wasn't vaccinated, right, this person is usually like a friend of mine, right? Like we are very close, and he was pretty strict about wanting me to get the thing, and I'm not gonna get it, to the point where if they take everything from me, right, including up to my life, right, I'm not getting it, and that's just the way it is, and it's not, that's not me, virtue signaling or like trying to, make any kind of claim like I'm some kind of like, brave warrior or anything like that. It's just if I were to do that, where does it stop, where does it stop? Am I not allowed to be scared of what that is, Like, this is what bothers me is that I've asked, and I've probably said this to you guys before, but I was pressured every day that I was in that hospital for 72 days, pressured every day to get it, to the point where they used other patients as peer pressure against me. I mean, it was horrific. It was hard. It was very hard to be there sometimes. And it would take a while for that to die down. Because they look at you like you're crazy. But this is what was scary to me, right? Is that I asked these medical professionals, nurses, at the lowest qualification of person I asked to as a nurse, right? And nobody knew what was in it when I said, "What is in it?" I'm sure they could hand me a list of ingredients, right, and tell me what's in it and what it does or whatever it says in their book of what it does, right? But the fact that they don't know and they put it in their body makes me scared. That's crazy to me, right? But they think I'm crazy for asking what is in it, And I don't think that that's unreasonable. I don't think it's unreasonable to say, hey, what is in it before you put it in me, right? And so, just based on that experience alone, where an expert in that field does not know what's in it and put it in their body, and they're considered sane and normal. And I'm not an expert in the field, right? And I ask what's in it, and they look at me like I'm crazy. No, not they treat me like I'm crazy and try to peer pressure me. And so if I can resist it, those as many days as I was in there, as hard as it was, I am going to be able to resist this. They've made me mad at this point, where, and I don't get angry that easy, like I'm so nice that most of the time people push me around, and so I mean online wise, I mean not in real life, but um, wouldn't everything be easier if we could just all be together in real life and see how each other is and acts and carries themselves, um, I think there's a lot of people with some very low self-esteem issues, right, that are you know maybe have a big ego but it's a very fragile one, that come on this dot either anonymously, being aggressive and tough, or being aggressive and tough, with their persona or whatever. And that's to try to intimidate someone in that way online is like, I don't see the point in that, unless it's like mind games, unless it's some kind of mind games, and I don't understand what people would get out of going to a place like that over and over and over again. But then again, I don't understand half the entertainment anymore anyway. And so, yeah, discernment is needed now more than ever. And in yes, we do need to have discernment. And if someone is not acting like a believer, I mean, what does it say for us to do, right? Like, it's like, even if someone claims that they're a believer, right? If they're like, doing dangerous stuff, what do we do? Treat them as an unbeliever? I don't know. I mean, because I always have a problem with that, right? Because like with verses like "Don't cast your pearls before swine." Like I get uncomfortable with that, not because it's not true, but because who am I to say that somebody's swine or not, And so it's just kind of crazy, right? Like, I get what I understand the verse and I know what it means, right? And it is true, right? Don't uh, come to somebody with a bigger truth than they're ready to hear, because they'll just get mad at you, They'll hate you for it. And but there's a lot of people that say that they're believers and they act like unbelievers. And it's very scary. I mean, I know this. There's a lot of people, right, that are very deceived in the fact that they think that God is not a factor on earth right now. Like they think that like God is something that we have to deal with later. That right now we are the ones that control things, and then we go to God and get judged. That's not the way it works. God is the biggest factor of all the time in everything. And the more faith you have, the more you see that. And so I really try to keep my faith on fire, not because I want any kind of credit for, I mean, I read the Bible because I enjoy it. That's what I'd be doing anyway. That's just like a guy watching a ball game. I like reading the Bible and I like listening to the Bible, right? But when I get my faith to a point where, I mean, where it's just on fire, I love it. I love the way that feels. It's like it's such a sure feeling. And I don't know, good. I know that I probably changed subjects a couple times, and I stumbled on some things, you know and of course I'm concerned for all of you in there, and so it is what it is. And so I don't know. I just want to say that I do love you guys, and the ones that I know, and I'm getting to know, some of the other ones. And I just want to say, God bless you guys. Praise Jesus for his sacrifice and his grace, right? And, I'll see you tomorrow, okay, guys? And thank you for coming. Bye.